What? Are you being generous enough? I'm just kidding.
No, I'm thinking maybe we're gonna have more thoughts. So.
Oh,
Maybe, maybe.
I have been thinking before that we should buy 2 bags of the dark beans.
The dark
oh, the dark beans are negative thoughts and the white ones are positive.
No, it's up to you. You can also consider white beans as ignorant beans, and red beans and bodhicitta beans. Yeah, so nobody will know.
My trouble is thinking these days.
Okay, friends, we are back.
We are back.
Okay. So we spoke about 4 clashes, and we spoke about ego, how ego has tendency to twist everything, and how it disappears once we turn our attention to needs of the others, which proves that ego is illusory entity. It's not our true and real quality. And once ego is dissolved, the true qualities of our mind start to kind of come to the surface, or like start to flourish. And it is said like the qualities open like a lotus flower. We don't have to force it. The thing is, we don't have to force our enlightened qualities. We just have to remove whatever creates obstacles for them. And that's another thing. Do you remember we were speaking about that path of the Dharma is tricky in that way that you don't necessarily look at the, like, do not necessarily deal with the problem directly. So if it's ego, you look at the altruistic motivation, and so the same with qualities. So you don't force yourself to these Buddha qualities. Of course, we cultivate them. We cultivate loving kindness, compassion, and all the good ethical qualities. But when speaking about qualities of mind, which is clarity, mindfulness, and it's undivided love, that love that it does not discriminate between all sentient beings. All this like 4 immeasurables in its pure quality, so which does not discriminate. We have love, we have like compassion to everyone. It's like a sun which does not discriminate where to send its rays of light and warmth. So whatever comes to the light, so that's place benefits. If sun shines on an area where there are like flowers or seeds, there will bloom. And it's not because sun makes it intention to send its rays there, but it's just the quality of sun, the rays and warmth and light. So that's the same with the quality of Buddha mind. They do not discriminate. So whatever comes to your focus, that person will benefit. On that person, towards that person, you will feel undivided love and compassion. And in order for those qualities to start blooming, we just have to remove whatever obstacles are or whatever covers them. Okay? We don't have to force them. And it's really interesting how like practicing by removing obstacles, and you suddenly find that you have these qualities. You know, it seems like a miracle because it happens suddenly, spontaneously, and you didn't have even to force it. And it's really wonderful. So, and we also spoke that in order to purify negative emotions, purify karmic tendencies, and actually learn how not to create these karmic habits, we need to recognize negative emotions. And first, we need just to learn recognize whether it's emotion or thought. We need to be able to turn our attention inside and to look to whatever is arising in our mind. In this exercise, which was given by Patrul Rinpoche. So I learned about this exercise when I did my first 100-day retreat on contemplation of teachings given by Patrul Rinpoche, and that there was this excellent exercise, and I found it so powerful, so powerful. And then I taught this exercise many other people, and even beginners found it's very powerful. So basically, you have two bowls of beans. This can be like two piles of rocks. Patrul Rinpoche was talking about two piles of rocks, for example, white and black. And so you just sit and you try to notice what kind of thought do you have. Like, even if you cannot recognize every thought that is arising, at least partially some thoughts that are arising. And then whatever thought is arising, try to distinguish whether is this positive thought or negative thought. So not to go like into deep contemplation, but whatever is arising, try to put it like to the whatever is beneficial or not beneficial, whatever is feeding your ego or whatever is not feeding your ego. And then whether you choose like whatever beans you choose, whether like white beans represent good thoughts and red bad thoughts, or opposite, white beans represent ignorant thoughts and red beans are thoughts which are good thoughts, which do not nurture ego. So it's up to you. But then, for example, you try to look what kind of thoughts you have. And doesn't matter what is this about. Is this about your daily routine? It is about discomfort which you experience when you are sitting. It's about like dinner you are planning to do or party you are planning to do. It's like about how tired you are, or like suddenly you remember somebody told you something good or something bad. So basically reaction, what is arising, what kind of feeling, it can be feeling, it can be emotion, it can be thoughts, whatever arising, try to put it like to the pile of good thoughts, or positive or negative. And then later, like don't try to like stay with how to say, don't try to contemplate too much, because you will start thinking about something else. But you start this, and whether it's positive or negative, it's very often depends on you. Two persons can have the same thought, but one thought has good intention or another bad intention. The same thoughts of doing something for somebody can be considered as positive, altruistic, or negative. That one that creates negative karma. When I speak about positive and negative, I speak about what kind of karma will it create, positive or negative. Okay? And so just when you have something that you consider positive, you take like one bean and you put in a pile. Like when you have a negative thought, you take another bean and you put it in a different pile. And then just be honest with yourself. It's not about distinguishing right now whether you're good or bad. Okay? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter like whether you have good or bad thoughts. It's about learning how to notice those thoughts. And then later we will think more about good and bad thoughts. But this division, like when we try to divide on positive and negative, actually really help you to develop strong awareness, ability to recognize what is appearing in your mind. Is it clear? Okay, so we will do 10 minutes Okay, if you see that one pile, like you finish beans, all beans in one, you can go second round. You know? You can put beans like by your legs, whatever way is easier for you to.
I can get another bag, a couple bags,
I mean, I can move right now.
Okay, so we will do 10 minutes. Okay. Okay, so that was 10 minutes, and you can see approximately how many thoughts you noticed, and maybe you had more thoughts, but you were not noticing them, or sometimes, maybe we forget, and we forget that we have to notice, and then kind of we faint away, and then we wake up, and okay, we start notice again. But the thing is, like, when you start to look inside and you start to notice your thoughts and emotions, your feelings, then they don't look so. It seems that there are less of them. Like they are less and less and less. So at the beginning, there are so many of them. We can, for example, if we sit down first time and try to look in our mind, and look like at our thoughts, there is an impression that there are so many of them. They move as they want, and like they completely rule over our emotions, and um, our emotions change, and our feelings arise again and again and again. But longer we do, it's kind of we start notice that we have less thoughts because our concentration becomes stronger, and thoughts become more easier to see and more like clearly. So this is aspect of clarity, which gives this kind of space where we can see those thoughts clearly. Do you have any questions about this exercise? Yeah.
I just was wondering, aren't we naturally producing thoughts because we're human?
No,
Animals don't have thoughts, right?
I think they do, but it's like like no. Okay, what we speak about thoughts. Maybe animals have different way, or like, but any kind of reaction. So animals have reaction. Okay, they do have reactions. It means they have some emotions or the perception which produce that reaction. Okay, if you call animal, the animal responds or might bite you or might lick you. So we don't know, but I mean, like, an animal will have certain response, like positive or negative. Yeah, so it means that this animal already has some imprinted thing in mind. It means it process some, even reptiles, they they process some perception, of their environment. At least they can distinguish, or like they can have positive reaction or negative reaction, even if it's not very conscious, you know. So, but any being that has reaction to anything, it means that that being has like perception and has reaction to its perception. This is called concept. So it might not be that animal is analytically thinking, or what like thinking the way we are do, but the animal perceives something and makes conclusions. Like even dogs know, like animal knows that if you open the bag with food, it means the food is coming. So it means there is some understanding, there is something going on. Also, animal might not think like, oh, he's opening the bag and food is coming, I need to go and eat. So it's not necessarily goes like this, but the animal has reaction, and so the reaction is it's a result of grasping or aversion, even though this being might not be aware of this. So, and this happens very, very fast, like. So that's what we also call concept. Concept, it's not only thinking, feeling. In Tibetan terminology, feeling, it's like namtok, they say it's namtok. So whatever is arising, whatever we perceive and analyze, whatever we have reaction to, whatever we perceive from dualistic point of view, feelings, emotions, thoughts, what kind of reactions they consider as a nam-tok, which we translate as a concept. But in Buddhism, it's like a broader thing, which involves everything that we perceive, like in all the different ways of digestion of that perception. Any other questions?
So I've got a few thoughts. One, there's a process where my thought, usually I just let go, but in this exercise I'm labeling it, and then so there's another layer of recognizing that thought, and then I'm actually wondering whether me labeling it is negative or but then there's another question I have, which is I started to again think, okay, what do we do when there's some triviality to the thought? So for example, I'm thinking, oh, I just did that piece of work this morning, my boss will be happy. I'm realizing, okay, in the first part of it, I just did that piece of work. But then I've thought, oh, there's some pride associated with that because, so as I'm starting to label it, I'm then generating a second thought that is now a red bean. And so that was interesting to me too. So these are more just comments. I think the first one is, what's the trivial, so one of the 10 rules, right, is we don't practice idle conversation, or so is that that thought in itself, is it, if it's idle but it's neither good nor bad, but does it become bad because it's idle? So there's lots of,
I think I understand. So there are like different levels, and it's also depending what is the goal of your practice. Yeah. So yeah, we're talking about when we look at the sat arising, sat like itself. If there is no reaction to the sat, yeah, it's not either good or bad. It's just arising due to our karmic habits. Yeah, there is like karmic seed, and it's just arising. And while it's rising, it's neither good or not bad. But then when we try to label it, or like see like it's kind of, by labeling it, we kind of forcing reaction to the sat. So which is like grasping. That's what you mean, yeah? So we are mirroring kind of this grasping, like, but this exercise, it's just exercise to see like how it happens. And here, okay, so there are different meditations. There is meditation when you just thoughts are arising and you just let them go, you don't grasp, okay? But this specific exercise, and it's like not natural process what we are doing, so this exercise created in order to see how much virtue is in your samsaric mind, okay? But first, in order to see that, we need to learn, at least see what is arising, something is arising. Yes, and here was kind of, this is not natural process, but it's also, there is something which do when we are not mindful, yeah? We're labeling everything that is arising, but not consciously. For example, yeah, you're like, I did some work, and there is like, I'm proud of it. So that's reaction, okay? Or like how my boss will see this work, and there is a feeling behind. It's not only that, but there is already a feeling like some. It may be positive. Maybe you might be proud of work, or you might be afraid like what your boss will say. Yeah. So there is a reaction. So that by itself, which is arising from the karmic habit, does not have either positive or negative note. But then our reaction, that's what's grasping. When the reaction is a grasping. So, and this reaction usually is like accompanied by feelings. Like we either accept it, we like it, or we don't like it. So it's like, if we like it, there is wish for it to continue, or like we have pleasure in it. If we don't like it, we want to block it, to remove it. So it's attachment and aversion. Or sometimes it's just like thoughts are very unclear and there is like ignorance in that, not recognition. But this exercise is actually for purpose to we kind of labeling that thought, but we're actually labeling not thought, but that subtle reaction, because you cannot label it as positive or negative if you don't have reaction. So you basically, thoughts is arising and you try to see deeply, on a deep level, on a very subtle level, is there any reaction or not? You don't create reaction. Are you proud? Are you kind of scared? Or like, is there any feeling behind? Because usually when there is no mindfulness in that, and we always have reaction, but sometimes it's so subtle we don't recognize it. So, but as long as there is duality, there is always reaction to whatever is arising, positive or negative. Whatever you perceive here in a room, for example, can be either pleasant for you or not pleasant. Like things on a shrine, they can be pleasant or not pleasant. The color of the walls, the color of the carpet. So, and it's like, whether it's pleasant, whether you like this color or not like, it's not that you decide right now, but it's rooted in your habitual tendencies. Like, what kind of experience? Maybe you had bad experience in a room with yellow walls, like some times ago, and it's imprinted. Or you were bored, or you had to study and you did not want to study. I mean, like, it can be something, like pleasant or unpleasant. And now, every time you see the room with yellow walls, you have, even on subtle level, you have this, you either accept it or not. It's not necessarily you have, you fall into depression, or have like outburst of negative emotion, but it's like very subtle feeling of discomfort, and everything that you perceive, you have this reaction. You either accept it or you do not accept it, and it's on very subtle level. So, and this exercise, we try to actually to dig, to find what is that feeling, and if it's feeling of discomfort, or it gives you comfort, or like you feel, it's given, and then it's even then like if you do exercise for a long time, you've suddenly found that whatever thoughts you thought are positive or reaction are like later you may consider them as negative. For example, because like when I started to do this exercise, so I this is positive thought, this is negative thought, this like I really like something, or like I really want to benefit somebody, or like, and then later the more I did this exercise, the deeper I kind of could see, and then finally I found, oh my gosh, basically all my thoughts are ego-based. Even when I truly believed that they are pure, like if to look like really deep, they serve my ego. Even positive, it is said that even positive karma, you have positive karma. If there is no mindfulness, sooner or later it will produce negative seeds. Because there is no mindfulness, there is always ego that twists it somehow. That's why mindfulness is very important. So it's like you can work hard on cultivating some state of mind, or like some good thoughts. You can go into autopilot, with like you can recite good sides like a mantra, so it's like imprinted. But then if it's if you lose mindfulness, if you forget about this, So then ego will take over. That's why the most important thing, like, to be mindful no matter what, like 24 hours, At the beginning, we cannot, like it says, like, you become Buddha when you have awareness or recognition of nature of mind for like day and night. But before that, you might have these moments of recognition, but you cannot force recognition, all the times. But sometimes you recognize the nature of mind, but then you don't recognize it. But at the moment when you don't recognize it, you are mindful of what you're thinking and what you're feeling. Okay? And so first, it's about like learning how to look inside and look what is arising in your mind. And then classify it as a positive or negative. And I say this is like exercise made in order to recognize how much altruism is in your mind and how much is ego grasping is in your mind. But that one that you talk about, like in your question, when we just let it go, it's just different practice. This is just specific exercise for this, okay?
Is there anything that can be a neutral thought?
Yeah, I think so. There can be there can be thoughts that just like it's just arising, and you. I think there can be a neutral thought, but most of the thoughts, I guess, we were concentrating right now on a thought that give some feeling.
We don't need a third being.
No, we don't need. But actually, like. That's a trick, like deeper you go, you see there is no kind of neutral thought. Is it thought either based on duality, or it just thought when it's arising, you recognize its nature? So basically, it's how we classify it, how it was with me. So I would classify like certain thoughts as positive, as negative. Then I recognize that even those thoughts that are positive are ego-based. Because at the end, like whatever I thought I'm doing good for others, I dug deeply and I found actually it makes me feel good. I like doing good things because it makes me, of course it means like that probably the person has person who thinks like that probably has good karmic habit from past lifetimes, so the person likes to do good things. But then the person is doing good things for themselves because it makes them to feel good. Because if they do something bad, they don't feel good. They feel discomfort, inner discomfort. So, and then person tries to get rid of that discomfort, by confessing or by doing anything. But how much here is altruistic motivation, giving up ego, So, and then, so I kind of understood that, okay, so basically, like, I have so many, even those thoughts that I said they are good, or reaction, good, but they actually feed my ego. And then it all depends on the level of your practice. Whatever you perceive as altruistic now, when you dig deeper, you might find out, because ego is it's rooted very deeply. And at the beginning, we don't have this vision to see so deep, to see those subtle things. But more we practice, more we kind of learn about mind, we find that ego is rooted even in those intentions that we think they are pure. Not necessarily you have it. I mean, you might find that some things that you thought that are pure is actually the ego rooted even there. Okay? And so then speaking about neutral thoughts, if the thoughts is arising, and even if you don't recognize the nature of the thoughts, that this nature of this thought is like Buddha nature, So then there is ignorance. So then, if there is ignorance, so how you classify this thought? As positive or negative? As pure or impure? So at the beginning we classify as good or bad, positive, negative. But then we can like classify as pure or like thoughts that we recognize or we don't recognize. Is it clear?
So, so no matter how altruistic we think this thing is, and we're really not doing it because, wow, I feel really great, won't there always really be ego until we're totally enlightened?
No. There is altruistic, there is pure altruistic motivation. Like, yeah, like there is. It doesn't mean that we are not able to have like pure altruistic motivation. We are able, but it's like we have to dig and like deep and like to see how much, like how pure is it. But I'm talking only about this exercise, because later when we figure out that there is impurity, we learn how to transform this impure motivation into pure motivation. Okay, but no, we are absolutely possible for any being have pure altruistic motivation, whether it's person or like it's spirit or it's animal. Absolutely, because this is our essence, and our essence is shining through sometimes. The same, the quality of our mind, pure quality of our mind, they are sometimes get visible, because they're always there, and that's why, like, why we're able to laugh or to have compassion or like to take care of children, of animals. It's absolutely possible to have pure altruistic motivation, even if you don't practice Buddhism. Yeah. Yeah. And I think that there are many projects or many things that are based on a pure altruistic motivation in this world. It's just unfortunately that also many things get corrupted later by ego. So that's why we speak about mindfulness. But in general, this exercise is clear, yeah? So basically, at the beginning, it's good, and also this exercise helps to develop clarity of mind. If we do it, so if we concentrate on this exercise, our mind becomes clear. But also, this is a path to Vipassana practice. So usually Vipassana practice is not easy because it requires skills to look inside of our mind. But this exercise helps to quickly learn how to look inside of the mind by noticing what kind of emotions and what kind of thoughts we have. And then when we are able to do that, we can practice Vipassana, which is like taking the thought or emotion as object. So, but for this you need concentration, and for good concentration we need clear mind. So this exercise not only helps us to see what kind of intentions we have, positive or negative, but it also helps to develop this clarity of mind and this concentration quickly, which can be used later for Vipassana that takes thought or emotion as an object, which leads to the experience of Mahamudra. Okay, so it has few benefits. So at the beginning, like okay, for example, you do this exercise and you are able to classify this negative thought, this is positive thought, this negative emotion, this is positive emotion. After you are able to clearly classify these emotions, we can start transforming these emotions. So, but for that, you really need to see, okay, this is negative emotion. So, and here we concentrate on those beans or those rocks which we put in a pile of negative emotions. Okay, so remember I spoke before, first we need to learn to recognize and classify, and only after we recognize what kind of emotion is that, what kind of thought is that, then we can transform them. Would you like to take 5-minute break? Okay. Please don't wait until I leave the room. Don't pay attention.
So you didn't run out of beads? Divine.
Is enough for you?
What is thinking? I was thinking, I didn't have any thoughts.
Yeah, I can't stop.
Is that still thinking?
I thought, oh, don't do it. It's louder. I kept to repeat some thoughts, and then I found out that it's not good. And I thought it, so I took a bad day.
Every time I would put down a white one, I told Rowan that then immediately I would have, 2 or
sell Joby's house?
Yeah, I think it was,
They did. I know you guys were interested in
no,
it.
we just missed out on it. We just weren't, didn't have all of our ducks in a row.
Oh,
And it just happened real quickly.
is that right? They couldn't wait for you?
Well, I think, I don't remember what it was going for, but I think it was, Fred thought it was more than that size of a house should go for. I don't know.
I mean, it was in rough shape, that
Yeah,
house.
yeah, it did, it did.
Did they sell it as a fixer-upper?
Yeah, I don't know. Probably somebody who has a lot more money than we do.
Do you know what they go for?
I don't, honestly don't remember. I mean, we can look
Okay.
it up, I'm sure.
Oh, I was just
Yeah, I
curious.
know, yeah.
Because I had heard something about
It was over
that it was sold,
200.
and it was like, oh, God, I wonder if
Yeah.
you guys got it.
It was so many of our ducks in a row. We thought, we've got property that we should sell. Some rental property, but Fred's, he's kind of getting tired of taking care of the
Oh, God, yeah.
renters and all that stuff. So it's just, something will come along, but at least we had it together too bad, but not so long.
I mean, it was a nice location.
Yeah,
It was
yeah, it's nothing for
not much of a house. I mean,
No.
you could make it
Yeah,
nice.
right, certainly could, and if it's bigger than our apartment, yeah. Not a lot, but yeah, so, I look, I look on my phone every day, is for little ranches, but, everybody our age wants one.
I know, I got an up and downer.
Yeah.
I think, well, someday I might be living in the family room.
Yeah, right. I mean,
Beautiful view.
yeah, right, sure. So, we have good neighbors and
Ukrainians, right?
Ukrainians whose Roman's mother makes wonderful desserts and treats for us, and soup every now and then,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's what I said to Anna, though I don't know if she's a baker. I said, you should start making the desserts for this red.
Yeah.
I tell you, those are great desserts.
Yeah,
I mean, I remember that one cake she made, or Roman's mother, right?
Yeah.
I was like,
I
holy
know it.
mackerel, how many layers does this thing have?
Oh, God.
All right, well, hey, how many beans you got? Hey, you're a good person. I had more white.
And,
I had more white.
I was starting to put them away. I think there were more reds out there than there are right now, but anyway, yeah.
Interesting exercise. All right, let me see. Somebody,
Fred's playing at Love and Cup, so I have to go there tonight for a little while.
Fred is?
Yeah.
Who's he playing with?
His group that,
He's got a group?
yeah, they don't actually have a name or anything, but,
Fred's group.
yeah, right,
They don't have a name, they gotta have a name.
No, they don't.
They just show up and
Yeah.
play for the dinner crowd?
Yeah, maybe they came up with a name, but I don't know.
Who else is in it? Maybe I'm just curious.
Well, our friend Jimmy is the drummer.
Oh, Jimmy.
Yeah. And, I mean, there's nobody bigger than that, Meg.
Oh, is Meg in it?
Yeah.
This other life?
Yeah, well, yeah, she's just here visiting just for this, so.
I mean, she's still on her own doing,
She's in Nashville, living in Nashville.
and doing okay, I guess?
Yeah. I think everybody goes to Nashville and thinks they're gonna just break out and,
No, I think there's a lot of
I know.
talented people
Oh,
out
yeah,
there.
right.
I mean, there's just, yeah.
Right.
Now, Fred could make it there. He's a great guitar player. I mean, he is amazing. So, I mean, he could, someone needed some
Yeah, I
fill-in,
know.
he could just
Yeah.
fill, oh, yeah, sure, I'll fill in for whoever. Yeah. No, he's got that kind of talent. Now, me, I mean, I could be a backup singer.
More than I could do.
I could hum.
that you have some experience, yeah?
I've
With
been,
practice.
I've been following Bob Thurman for 15 years. Podcasts and just reading and watching, learning.
Okay, it seems that we had like spontaneous discussion in our tea room. But then we said, okay, people on Zoom should probably be included. Yeah, sorry about that. So I just wanted to touch the question that Chris asked previously. It's about when when we are trying to label our thoughts, like and classify them whether they're positive or negative, and then just like for example, like Chris gave this example, like a car passing by on the street, we just notice, do we have to label or not? No, we don't have to label it, and because then we don't have to create any feeling behind of that. It's just like actually it's an example when thoughts are arising and we just like do not grasp from, we just like look at them and they just pass by. It's as similar as it drops, like when there is rain and drops kind of slide on a window. So just as they come and slide, we can look, we can observe them, and we do not grasp for any drop. So this is like that. But in this exercise, we try to label thoughts that have reaction after that, yeah? So whatever reaction we have, it comes with emotion, it comes with feeling. So, and that's where we see actually our true intention. That's how we can see whether our intention is good or bad. So, whether it's like feeling of love and openness and real like strong wish to do something good for whatever helps us to give rid of ego, or it is something like fear or desire for ourselves, or in the cost of others, or jealousy. So reaction, it's not thought that has positive or negative thing behind it, but it's reaction that has this positive or negative notion, the same as like we spoke about the walls, yeah? So the yellow wall can have good reaction or bad reaction, and it's not about the color of the wall. The color has nothing to do with it, but it's just like karmic tendency or karmic habit that is hiding behind our reaction. Okay, and of course, like all negative reactions to thoughts and emotions, it's the result of our suffering or our trauma. Like negative karma creates trauma, and then we have negative reactions toward it, whether like it's fear or aggression or wish to keep it. Desire, attachment. So it's actually we are here. How to say we're slaves of that suffering, and the more suffering we experience, the more negative emotions we create, the more fear or aggression we create, and that's also create more karmic tendencies. So so basically, when we see our negative reactions, we are not blaming ourselves. We actually also see this is a result of our suffering. That's how much suffering we experience, that we have so many negative reactions. So, and then we can have compassion toward ourselves. Also, it's important. And we are not fighting with ourselves to be better. We are not forcing ourselves to be better. we just understand all this, we understand all this kind of basis of our suffering in order to get rid of it. And that's what past is, and that's what looking in our mind is, and why it's scary to look in our mind, because we never know what we can find there. We can be so discouraged when we find out that we are not as good as we think about ourselves, you know? And that's when we need courage, but it's also important to understand that we are victims of our own karma and of our own ignorance and of our own ego. So, and then we free this victim, you know, like, and there are methods, but in order to free ourselves, we have to see where the suffering is rooted. And whenever we see negative emotion, it is sign that somewhere there was trauma, you know. So somewhere there was something that was not enough or was too much. Of course, it's ego also, like, but it's not coming, the negative emotion is not coming from happiness, you know, it's coming from suffering. And suffering, of course, coming from non-recognition. But so, at the beginning, we are recognizing where negative emotion is, because when we get rid of it, we build new pattern. So then when we see yellow wall, we don't have negative reaction anymore. So and one of the way to create new pattern is a pure view. For example, when we practice Yidam yoga, yeah, and we say that every attribute of the Yidam, meaning some pure qualities, you know, like there are like 3 heads or like 4 legs, and all of them have some symbolic, there is some symbolism in every attribute. And for example, like if we paint a shrine in certain colors, you know, like red color that represents bodhicitta, blue color which represents space. So then what happened? Why we need all these explanations like of symbolism? Because then it creates new imprints in our mind. So then every time we see sky, we remember, okay, the sky is kind of represents nature of our mind. Everything we see, every time we see a red color, we have tendency to cultivate compassion. So, and it's actually similar, you know, to transforming of negative emotions. And then everything you see yellow, okay, you like you don't think about trauma, but you think about like golden mandalas offerings or whatever you teach yourself to, whatever you imprint on your mind. Okay, so and then like all these Buddhas of different colors. So it's not just Buddha doesn't, I mean, like it doesn't, for Buddha it doesn't matter what color he or she is, you know, and it's like really it's not that like I don't think that Buddha Amitabha necessarily appears in red in color, you know, like Rinpoche was telling story when one nomad was praying to Amitabha, and actually he did it wrong. He visualized Amitabha blue in color, but he still, when he passed, he still traveled to Devachan. So it's just about creating good habits. So whenever you perceive anything, this triggers this pure karmic imprint. Okay, and so when you do this exercise and you notice negative emotion or like negative intention, so the next thing is to transform this negative intention into the positive intention. Okay, so there is, for example, there is, and we spoke about relative bodhicitta, and we spoke about bodhicitta of aspiration and bodhicitta of application or of action. Yeah. So in bodhicitta of aspiration, we cultivate four immeasurables. Yeah, immeasurable love, joy. Okay, so immeasurable love, immeasurable compassion, immeasurable joy, and immeasurable equanimity. Okay, so and then actually this contemplation of these four aspects creates very strong imprint on mind. So if we have these four, and it's kind of covers our perception, or like we we perceive everything through these four immeasurables, then all negative emotions naturally transform into altruistic motivation, you know. So it's and that's why this impression is that's why this contemplation is very important, and that's why we repeat these prayers again and again and again and again. Okay, and then when you have a very strong motivation, very strong aspiration, then we practice bodhicitta of application. And here we're talking about 6 paramitas. Okay, 6 paramitas is actually its method to transform negative reactions into positive karma. So basically, whatever is prone to create negative karma, we recognize it and we transform into positive karma through 6 paramitas. So, but basically, when we have negative emotion of jealousy, when we do this exercise and we suddenly realize that we have emotion of jealousy, so then we hold on it and we consciously transform this emotion of jealousy into generosity. And here there are different methods. There is like one of the methods is contemplation, you know, but it's very important. Guru Rinpoche in the text Light of Wisdom, Yeshe Ningpo, mentioned that when we contemplate, we take our own experience as a measure, something like that. So we actually, when we contemplate, we do not contemplate using somebody's wisdom or somebody's experience. When we contemplate, we use our own experience. So basically, when I contemplate what is jealousy for me, like what I experience when I have this feeling, what did it bring in my life? Like whenever I had this emotion and I acted upon this emotion, what result did I have? Did it bring me satisfaction? Did it make me happy? Did it make happy another person? What would be if I would react differently? Would it be better for me? Would it be better for... So this, what it means, you take situations when you experience that, or maybe like situations that you right now experience, and you contemplate, and you actually have to come to the conclusion yourself why it is bad, why it's not beneficial. Because when you just tell yourself this is not beneficial, this is not beneficial, this is not, because somebody told you, this does not bring you this insight. You know, real contemplation should always bring you this like insight, so that you should be convinced this is true. You take concept, you take somebody's wisdom or like somebody's teaching, and you contemplate using your own experience until you convinced 100% it is like that. whatever is said in this teaching, that jealousy does not bring, for example, jealousy does not bring benefit, or any other like emotion, negative emotion, like anger. Like if you had experiences when you uh, gave rise to anger and actually act upon anger, what kind of conflicts it's brought? What happened? Would it be like sometimes we act upon anger and then later we kind of think, oh, but it would be better if I wouldn't tell anything. It would be better if I just would go outside and took a walk and and then I wouldn't have this conflict. Sometimes it happens. Then we say something based on negative emotion and we regret it. And so basically you take, whenever you experience some reaction in this exercise, you have this negative emotion, you feel discomfort, you actually can like try to figure out why is it that you have discomfort. Sometimes you don't even have clear feeling. Like, you know, like you cannot say this is like anger or this is jealousy or this is attachment. You cannot label, like it's not important that you label. It's something that gives you discomfort or something that you feel it's not making you or other people happy. So, and then you contemplate. So, how to transform? I would transform this anger. So what does it mean? So the next time I have this situation, I'm not going to act like this. Next time I'm having this kind of thought, I'm recognizing it before, even if it's hard for me to give, not to give rise to anger with this thought, but at least every time I have it, I recognize it. And so what's happening, if you do not allow yourself to follow this reaction of negative emotion, there are no new seeds formed. So the old karma is arising, you recognize it. Even if you feel this emotion, so this is old karma. Like even feeling this emotion, it's not a problem. If you recognize it and you do not create reaction to it, you do not follow it with new negative emotions, then it's exhausted. Your karma is exhausted. And it will not it will not give rise to new seeds, and it will not create new karma, new similar karma. So you are exhausting this karma. But if you also are able to create new pattern, new reaction, conscious reaction, so then you create pattern of cultivating positive karma. But you should, if you do this exercise again and again, you will notice that you have similar negative emotions to similar kind of circumstances, and you can find that the range of your reaction is very narrow. Actually, it's not that we have like thousands of different emotions. It always comes to, like, you will feel it's like something pulling you into kind of this one groove, you know, like, and you see that the range of emotion is very limited, and the more you follow these emotions, then more narrow becomes your perception. So you don't see other things, you know, like you might other people notice like good things somewhere where you don't notice anymore. So I had this interesting experience with two people. Like two people went to the doctor. Okay, that's what I actually saw. It's from my life. So two people went to the doctor, and one person was like really happy how attentive was doctor, how everything was good. But before, it took like long time to get the appointment, and person had to call doctor again, like doctor forgot to send referral, anything. But then this person went to doctor, and doctor was very good and very helpful. And this person went home and was telling another person, "Oh, this is such a wonderful doctor. I'm so happy." And then another person goes to doctor next day, and so it seems that somehow the receptionist said, "Okay, you don't have appointment today because they rescheduled, but they forgot to tell you. But don't worry, I will look for another doctor to take you in." And so this person becomes like negative, like, how come they did not inform me? But they say like, but look, that another thing is like that they still found doctor to see you today. That's a good thing. And so first person could concentrate on negative things, that doctor forgot to send referral, but this person decided to concentrate on something good. And the second person decided to concentrate on not good thing. And it's only about perception. And that person had negative experience, and another person had and that person had positive experience, and another person had positive experience. But who choose, like, each person decided to concentrate on different thing. And it's like sometimes when we have this habit to see, to cultivate negative emotion and to see negative, so our vision is narrowing, and sometimes we don't see opportunities for good experience, or like we don't see other things that gives us benefit. Yeah. And so it's this exercise also will help us to kind of broaden our perception. And once we learn how to transform our negative emotions, we start to notice, wow, there's so many good things happening around also. Like, yeah, but I still think that no matter what happens, like, we still on the top, because we met Dharma. There is nothing that is nothing can be compared with the fact that we met Dharma that can lead to the freedom from suffering. Nothing that happens, I believe. So it's like when you do this exercise, you also can see your tendencies. Like, are you seeing like dark side more, or like you see like light side, and then you start to realize there is no actually light side or dark side. It's like only your own decision where you turn your mind. Any questions? Okay, so would you like to do another set of exercise? Okay. Okay, so let's do another 10 minutes, or you want to do more? 10 minutes fine? Okay. Out of beans. Okay. It's good exercise, like to do retreat, like 2-week retreat, and make like edible, kind of rocks, edible things, like, and so you can only eat when you have positive side, and then you will have no choice. That's actually, yeah, I think it's possible to do. Okay, 10 minutes. So and now, as if you are able to see clearly what reaction is negative, so we can do next exercise in order to learn how to transform this negative reaction. So basically, when a thought is arising or emotion is arising, and you have a negative reaction or discomfort to this thought, hold on this reaction, hold on this emotion, and try to kind of how to say, to remake it. Like at the beginning it will be, you will feel it's like it's kind of artificial, not true. For example, if you give a rising to thought about something that you don't like, or like for example like you tired and you think, okay, I have enough, I want to go home, okay, so but then upon recognition of this thought, immediately think, but I'm using this time in order to transform my mind, although it's difficult, okay, and then let it go. Do not try to fight with that previous emotion, but just like say this, like also you might not have feeling like this, also might you still have like feeling of discomfort, but and it might kind of seem for you not natural before, but you are planting like the new karmic seed, new karmic habit. So next time, like in a few seconds and a few minutes, you have the same thought and the same feeling of discomfort, and you apply the same method. You think the same thought. Or like if you have some reaction with a negative emotion or anger or like jealousy or pride, immediately try to overcome it with the thought, with the right thought. Like even if you don't have feeling yet, so get used to the right thought. So the next time, like if you do it again and again and again, at some point you will notice that when the specific thought which used to be basis for your negative reaction arising, you immediately automatically will have the right thought. Is it clear, this exercise? So it will feel artificial at the beginning. So now you might not have right feeling, but you have right thought. And this thought is already planting seed. That's how, like I'm talking from my own experience. It will work later. Now it's kind of only concept. But then later that concept will come with right feeling. So whenever you have like this negative reaction, try, like if you don't like the color of the wall, like you have discomfort, but think, okay, for me this wall represents such and such quality. That Zambala is yellow in color, and Zambala is prosperity, spiritual, and so and now this color represents for me Zambala, you know. So or something like that. Try anything that you might think has purity in it, the pure quality. Okay. Let's do it for next 10 minutes. And then you can classify this thought as a positive. So you take the bean, which represent negative emotion, negative reaction, and you hold it until you transform it, and then you can put positive bean inside because you transformed. you noticed and you transform this negative thought. Okay? So then you can consider it as a positive. So in this way, we also practice bodhicitta of application, transforming our thoughts to the right thoughts, negative thoughts to the right thoughts, to the kind of which supports Buddhist view. Okay, and with time, these old reactions will stop coming, but new reactions like right thoughts, right attitude will start arising spontaneously, naturally, because you will have this habit. But for this, of course, we'll have practice again and again, not allowing the old habits continue, but transforming them again and again. Okay, so I think it's time. Yeah. Thank you. Tomorrow we will continue with teachings, and we will also use practice of Vajra recitation as a means for transformation of negative karmic tendencies. Thank you.